artificial neural networks. Uh, Artificial implies that they are going to be implemented in a machine. Biological neural networks, is described as a network of neurons that are functionally connected to the central nervous system of living organisms. Even animals have brains, neurons.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is a neuron diagram. You have a this neuron has input, and there is a weight associated with every connection from the input to this neuron, and there is a external um, value of bias, and it gives the output. This output is given to the subsequent layer, uh, to the neurons in the subsequent layer. The output of uh, a neuron is given as the input to the neurons in the subsequent layer. In this diagram, you can see a single neuron having three inputs and three weights associated, and there is only one output, and then the output is given to the user. This is a neuron, a single neuron. Artificial neural network essentially means it is collection of neurons arranged in a particular pattern. It has got some architecture. There are various architectures in which neurons are connected in a neural network, and whenever I say neural network, it means it refers to artificial neural network, or ANN. This neuron performs two tasks. It performs the weighted sum of this input uh, and weights, and also it applies activation function on the output of this weighted sum. There are four kinds of activation functions given in your suggested book. However, there are several, and uh, this machine learning, deep learning, artificial neural networks, the state of the art is having a lot of new functions, activation functions. So single layer feed forward network, in this we have input nodes, output nodes. There are weights associated with every connection, every link, and output node will give out the output. And then these all actually are covered. Today's topic is multi-layer feed-forward network. From the name, it can be known that it can be understood that it is a multiple layer network. Feed forward in the sense that uh, the input and all the computations that you are applying on the input will travel from um, left to right in a forward direction. At left you have input is given to the first set of neurons. From the first set of neurons, after some sort of computations, the result is given as input to the subsequent neurons, um and followed by the next layer. Likewise it continues until it is given out as the output through the output neurons. So that is feed forward, and multi-layer means you will have more than one layer. And the learning algorithm used in multi-layer feed forward network is backpropagation method. Backpropagation is quite significant algorithm which has revolutionized the way neural networks learn, and has resulted in uh, deep uh, deep neural networks and deep learning. So backpropagation algorithm is the core of the learning mechanism in neural networks. What happens in this backpropagation algorithm is input is given to the first set of neurons, means to the first layer. From first layer to second layer, it passes on after computations, and so on and so forth until it comes to the output neurons. From output neurons, the output is given. When the output is given, there is an actual output and the predicted output. Actual output means the correct value given in our data set, and predicted value is the one which is the result of the ANN. There may be some difference. When the backpropagation algorithm, what it does is it finds the error rate. What is the error between this actual output and predicted output? And then what does it do is it propagates that error back to adjust the weights such that in the next iteration the weights are adjusted, and then the output, predicted output, comes closer to the actual output. So the output is compared with the correct answer, and the error is fed back into the network, and the algorithm utilizes this information and adjusts the weights, and then this procedure is repeated for large number of training cycles. They are known as epochs. Epoch means when you complete one cycle for all the training samples. Well, what happens is after several epochs, the error rate gets reduced, and the predicted output is equal to the actual output or very close to the actual output. At that time, the algorithm will stop. So this is backpropagation algorithm. This is very important. This is the core and the primary logic behind this training and learning in present day scenario of machine learning and deep learning. This is a 2-4-2 feed forward neural network. 2 inputs, 2 outputs, and there are 4 hidden 4 neurons in the hidden layer. There is one hidden layer in between input nodes and output input layer and output layer. Likewise, you can have another layer of hidden neurons. Why they are called as hidden? Because they are in between input and output, and these hidden layers are not directly visible to the user. User is interacting only with input layer and output layer. Through input layer, user provides the input. From the output layer, user gets the uh, classification result or regression result. This neural networks can be used for classification as well as for regression. Okay, classification means the output is uh, predicting the class of the input sample. It predicts the class in the sense, if we take example of cancer, if we feed here the images of um, some let us take for example brain images. If you put here, if you provide here, what happens is output will give there may be some abnormal cell growth in brain. So whether that cell growth is cancerous or non-cancerous, that is classification. Regression means prediction of house prices. That's a very common example where given the area in square feet or in some other metric, and given other parameters like how many floors, constructed, non-constructed, um, or how many rooms, parking, water supply, number of parameters. Based on number of parameters, house price is predicted. That is a regression model because it gives a continuous output, continuous value as the output, which is a price. Price is a continuous value. For instance, house price can be 1 lakh, or 1 lakh 10,000, 1 lakh 5,000, or 1 lakh 20,000. Like, that is numeric, continuous. That is regression. Classification means it divides into classes. Classes are discrete. Discrete means you can have either class A or class B, or class C or class D, it depends. For instance, there is a very popular program which is called as the Hello World of Deep Learning and Machine Learning, which is MNIST dataset. MNIST dataset has handwritten uh, digits. Essentially what happens is these handwritten digits are classified by the neural network into the class. How many classes are there? 10 classes are there. What are they? 0 to 9. So that is class problem, classification problem. So that all right, this learning mechanism also requires a algorithm to update the weights based on the learning rate and the error rate. That is known as gradient descent. There are several again. Gradient descent is the oldest and most popular one. Other examples like you have mini gradient descent and others are there. So gradient descent specifies the learning rate and the error rate, and adjusts the weights based on this error rate and learning rate. Okay, let us look at an example. An XOR function. In the last class, it was learned that uh, a perceptron cannot segregate or separate XOR function values because XOR functions are non-linear on a graph. When you plot XOR function, it turns out to be non-linear in nature. Whereas and or functions are linear. Linear means they will be like this. Like, look at here. This is linear function. Linear function means the output, this when both x and y are 0 0, the output is 0. If any one is 1, the output is 1. So here 1, here 1, and here 1. When it is 0 1 1, when it is 1 0 1, and when it is 1 1 1. So you have 1 1 and 1. This is consider this to be a graph where you are plotting OR function. What happens is here you are getting 0 and here 3 ones you are getting. If you draw a line in between them, you can separate them. They are known as linearly separable. You can separate this 0 with this 1. And even AND function is same. Here you will get 1 and all the other places you will get 0. And if you draw a line here at this place, even then the function is linearly separable, because if you draw like here 1 and 0 will be separated. Learning algorithm for percept. Okay, look at XOR function. It is not linearly separable because XOR 0 0 is 0 and 1 1 is also 0. 0 1 is 1 and 1 0 is 1. If you draw a single line this way, you cannot segregate. Why you can't segregate? Because if you draw a line this way, then there is 1 0 here, there is another 0 here, there is 1 and 1. So you are not separating all zeros and all ones into different segments or two different parts. If you draw a line like this, even then you are not separating, because here you will get 0 and this side you will get 0, this side you will get 0 and 1 and 1. And if you draw a line like this, then this side you get 0 and this side you get 0 1 0 and 1. You should not have values which are mixed up. Zeros means in one part you have all zeros, you should have all zeros. Ones means you should have all ones in another part. So these two parts cannot be separated by using a linear line. Look at this, this is just a linear line. Using this line you cannot segregate. But you can do it using a hyperplane. Hyperplane means like this. Using this type of box you can separate. Then what happens in this box, you will get 0 and 0 and rest of the thing will be 1 and 1. So single line cannot separate XOR function. So what you are doing? So what has been done is here these are the two inputs, x1 and x2. Input nodes, this is an input layer, this is an output layer, this hidden layer. Input nodes are two, x1 and x2. There are two hidden layers, there are two nodes in hidden layer, h1 and h2. There is one output node. This neuron is also called as a node. What is happening is this 1 and this minus 1 and this minus 1 and 1, these are the weights. These weights, this is known as weight vector. Look at this weight vector. From x1 to h1 and h2, weight vector is 1 comma minus 1. From x2 to h1 and h2, it is minus 1 and 1. These are the weights, connection weights. And remember that in a node has to be connected to all the other nodes in the subsequent layer. Here this node has to be connected with all, both, in this case both. Even this has to be connected with these two, both. Okay, then what happens is, here this one uh, multiply, one is multiplied by this x1, 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 0, x1 and x2 can be 0 0, x1 and x2 can be 0 1, x1 and x2 can be 1 0, and they can be 1 1. These are the combinations that we can have for x1 and x2. For a particular example, for 0 0, 0 multiplied by 1 or minus 1 gives 0 only. So h1 and h2, you get 0 0. Okay. And then this is 0, x1 is 0, x1 is 0, 0 into 1 and minus 1, 0, and plus plus this is 1, 1 into minus 1, and this is 1 into 1. So you get h1 minus 1 and 1. Why is it negative output, minus 1 or minus 5 to, okay. What is done here is, since only two bits are used, 0 and 1, minus 1 is changed to 0. Our actual output is minus 1, but then minus 1 cannot be represented. We can have only 0 value or 1 value. So minus 1 is changed to 0. Here wherever there is a minus sign, it has been changed to 0. Like that you get these h1 and h2 values, and then there is the connection weight between h1 and this output layer, h2 and output layer. When you multiply, you get that value, and when x1 and x2 are 0 0, the output you are getting is 0. When x1 and x2 are 0 and 1, output is 1. If you observe here, we got correct output. If you consider these input combinations, correct output has been given by this. This is neural network. feed-forward neural network for XOR function. It's very simple and straightforward, and therefore gradient descent, backpropagation, and all iterations were not so much required. However, in a non-trivial example that so many epochs, I will show you one example. This is Anaconda Navigator. Anaconda can be used for writing Python programs. Python is the most widely used programming language for machine learning, artificial intelligence, deep learning programming. And you can use IDE, PyCharm, or you can use an Anaconda platform, or you can use a Spider. Even Visual Code also you can use. I have done experiments. I'll show you one simple one so that you will get a idea what is happening in this all. I think I did XOR function also. If I could find XOR function, I'll show you the XOR function, or MNIST. Okay, so what happens is, this is Anaconda Navigator. From Anaconda Navigator, this loading may take some time. This is an execution environment which I have created. TFG means TensorFlow, and this we can open using terminal, using Python. IPython was the older version, and Jupyter Notebook is the new version. We'll look at Jupyter Notebook. In Jupyter Notebook, Jupyter Notebook is open in this browser. So this is the main page where you have different programs, folders, files, images. It's like a folder. Here's some examples. Keras MNIST. Okay, Keras MNIST we will do. There are so many folders. Tomorrow I'll try to show you that XOR. This is SVM breast cancer. SVM is also one machine learning algorithm, support vector machine. Okay, like this code can be run. These are cells. Cells can be a code cell or a markdown cell. And this is a data set. This data set has coordinates where the tumor is located in a CT image of a breast. So if it is 1 means it is malignant, it is 0 means it is malignant means cancerous, benign means non-cancerous. So this our model. Look at here. Here we are giving training, testing, and this data set has been divided into test size 40%, training size 60%, and then this is SVM, that support vector classifier, and then here training happened, and this is the result. Accuracy, precision, recall, these are the metrics used to determine the how well our algorithm is performing. Keras, MNIST. Keras is also a library which was built on TensorFlow, but now in TensorFlow 2.0 it is inbuilt into TensorFlow. Here what are we doing is we are importing Keras MNIST dataset. MNIST dataset, I will show you how it is. MNIST dataset is a handwritten digit database created by Jan LeCun. This is the main page of MNIST dataset. Images looks like this. We write 1, 2, 3 these digits in different ways. You may write 2 in some way, I may write 2 in some other way. Machine has to recognize. Look at this 3, this 3, and this 3. They are a bit different. This 2, this 2. A machine should be able to tell that this is 2. And look at this 5. And machine should be able to tell that 4. Classify. This is like classifying these digits into the correct category. What is the category of this image? It is 7. Its label is 7. Labels are from 0 to 9. So this is MNIST dataset. And then this dataset has been loaded. Okay, I wrote this long back, 2.5 years back, on TensorFlow 1.0, 1.2 version. Now it is TensorFlow 2.0 and there are major revisions. So there may be a problem in executing this. TensorFlow 2.0 has got different ways of doing the things. So it's not exactly like TensorFlow 1.0, it's different. So that I don't think so I can show you. Hyperparameter. Just I want to give you a feel of how these things work. You have to really spend a lot of time in practicing all these things. It takes a lot of time actually for execution also. This is importing has been done. This is using now TensorFlow has tensorflow.python.keras. Earlier it was just Keras, so that's why that program did not run. Okay, this is how things are. I'll try to show you some simple programs also in the subsequent classes. Backpropagation algorithm This is the sigmoid activation function. Backpropagation algorithm works in two phases, forward phase of forward pass and backward pass. Everything travels from input to output, and then what happens is an output is produced. That output is compared with the actual output. If there is any error, again error is sent back in the backward pass for the updation of the weights. Weights are updated. Okay, in the backward pass, uh, weights are updated. This all practically will be very concrete and insightful. Try to get some of the ideas theoretically, and we'll look at practicals also. Although practicals are not associated with AI, but then I'll try to demonstrate some of the important things. These are the steps of the algorithm. Run a set of input variable through the network using random weights and compute the difference between actual value and computed value, and average the error over the entire range and propagate the error backward through the network and compute the gradient, which is a vector of derivatives of the change, and make adjustments to the weights. Weights have to be adjusted to reduce the error, and each cycle is called an epoch. So this continues for several cycles, sometimes 100 cycles, 200 cycles. So this algorithm is known as backpropagation algorithm. And this is the formula to derive the output: 1 over 1 plus e raised to power minus x sub I, where xi is nothing but this weighted sum. This is input, these are weights. You multiply them, input and weight, and take sum over all the inputs. Because every node is connected to every other node, you have to take sum of all, and then that value you put here, exp, exponent of to the power minus x. This whatever x value you obtain, no, this value you put here, this activation function, to bring non-linearity. Okay. Feed forward training algorithm is initializing the weights randomly, and until stop criteria is not satisfied, or maximum iterations have not been reached, the same process of forward pass and backward pass continues in number of epochs. So this for feed forward training algorithm, to become a proficient machine learning, proficient in machine learning area, one has to be good at math, gradients, and then stats and probability. Machine learning needs a very strong math background. So you can look at here how weights are updated. Weight updation rule is this: weights are initially initialized to a random value, and then that random value is added to this learning rate. This delta is the learning rate, and this Wji is the old weight, where Wji is equal to this is the this is learning rate into this is error rate. This error rate and learning rate with respect to weights. This if you remember in your intermediate, you might have done partial derivatives. This that concepts are used here, derivatives. So you are taking the derivative of this error rate and weights, um, and then trying to find a new weight value. Okay, and then what do? You take the sum over all the training samples. For individual sample you do, and then you take sum of all, and then you find a new set of weights, and then using those new set of weights you again train the model. Okay, total mean squared error change. Yeah, generalization based criteria. There are different here ways to work out with errors. Error rate, you know, total mean square, that is also a type of you know, error measure. So what happens is back propagation is considered to have converged when the absolute rate of change in the average square error per epoch is sufficiently small. If that error rate is quite small, probably 0.1 or 0.01, until that time this process of weight updation and forward and backward pass continues. And after each epoch in the feed-forward neural network, what happens is it is tested for generalization. Tested for generalization means sometimes we learn the concepts very well. Let us take an example of math problem, finding the mean median mode stat problem. When you try to find mean median mode of a given problem, you do it perfectly. However, if new set of values are given, you can't do it. Then that is like you have learned only the specifics of the input. You are not able to do a generalized problem solving in that area. Our learning algorithm should also be able to learn in such a manner that it should be able to predict any kind of input sample. For instance, if you there are um, hundreds of trees, if you show to a person tree, and the person learn so many features about that tree, that height of the tree, color of the tree, and its width and other parameters of that tree, and it knows that that is a tree. Wherever it can see that type of tree, it can he can identify that that is a that tree. Having said that, that person cannot identify any other tree. For instance, if a person knows mango tree, person can identify mango trees anywhere in the world. However, he cannot identify coconut tree maybe. because he does not know that is also a tree, because he has learnt by hearted, he has by-hearted or mugged up the features of mango tree only. That is very important concept, which is called as overfitting. Whenever your algorithm cannot generalize, it is said to be it is said that it is overfitting. Okay, delta rule is a least mean square rule for error minimization. What happens is, it is based on the concept of continuous adjustment of weights, such that the difference of error denoted by delta between actual and computed is nothing but predicted, actual and computed is reduced. This delta rule minimize the mean squared error, and thus it is known as least mean square method. So look at this. Here you have a training example, and the desired output is di. This is training example, this is the desired output, and this desired output minus generated output. Yk of I is the generated output, and then this is calculated. E of mean the difference of desired and generated, that sum for sum over all the samples is square, and then total mean squared error is error for sample I, where I is 1 to n, divide by n. N is the total number of samples, and eventually we get error of this average error of all the samples, that has to be minimized. All right, so tomorrow's class we'll look at radial basis function network. I hope today's class is clear. Please go through it once. Any doubts you can bring to me tomorrow. Okay, bye.